Welcome to Dare to Lead, a Hallian podcast, a show that empowers you to navigate leadership, career, and business in today's dynamic landscape. I'm your host, Stuart Fry, CEO at Hallian. Today, Maria Rubert, highly respected arbitrator and dual qualified Spanish and US lawyer specializing in real estate and commercial disputes, joins the podcast. As the managing partner of Rubert Partners, she's played a key role in shaping corporate structures and arbitration strategies in the Middle East. Now let's get into the chat. Hi Maria, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Very good morning. I'm very happy to be sitting with you today, Stuart. Looking
Great.
forward to it.
No, likewise. So before we get into some of the questions around your career, can you tell us what you were like growing up?
When I was growing up, I was pretty much like I am today. I was a bit of a nerd, very unusual. I would stay up until 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, and I would practice sports, tennis and soccer or football, depending on which part of the world you are. And then I was studying all the time. So I was very focused. I knew what I wanted. I wanted the sports to pay for my education, and I wanted to be the best student that you could become. So,
Right. Whereabouts did you grow up?
I grew up in Valencia, Spain.
Nice.
But I left when I was 17
Okay.
to go to the States. I was given because I was a very good student and they thought I could fit very well the American system. I got a scholarship by the Ford Motors company.
Oh, wow.
For 1 year, but I never came back.
Right. Whereabouts in the US?
I was in Maryland at the beginning with an American family. So I was going to high school, the last year of high school. And then I got scholarships, tennis and soccer and football. So I complete my education in the US. I did fit the system. I loved it. How they balance sports and academics. And how also, if you don't like sports, fine, you can even go to chess clubs or whatever.
Yeah.
They have for everyone. So I love that part because in Spain, I had I couldn't fit the system.
Right.
The schools would say, no, you cannot train in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They don't allow you.
Yeah.
So
did you have the choice then whether you were going to go and focus more on sports or more on education?
I went through that. That's the reason why I was very lucky to be able to go to the US, because by age 14, when you start 13 or 14, when you start high school, then in Spain is when they tell you, okay, now is the time. Either you go to Barcelona to a high training center, so you study when you can in the evenings, or you go and continue your education. So for me, I chose education. Yeah, because it's the most certain. For me at the time, it was the most certain. You get an injury, even if you don't get an injury, you may not make it to the top level. So,
were there any early moments in your life that kind of you felt set you on the path that you're on now?
I think the moment is the US.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I was preparing so well for the US because I was nonstop studying. Nonstop. When I was not training or playing, I was studying. And then when I went to the US and I saw the opportunities, which I did not feel in my country, that was a before and after. I knew Spain from that moment was not an option for me anymore. And when I moved to Dubai, that's the same feeling I had.
Yeah.
You can become what you wish to become if you work very, very hard. And that's what I felt in the US.
Yeah. So you're a young Maria, you're focusing on sports, you're focusing on study. Where did law come into it?
I mean, my days are exactly the same as they were.
Yeah.
Before. That's when I look at young kids or even young practitioners or interns. They will be the same person. It's very difficult to change the mechanics of someone. So right now I manage Rubert Partners. It's just the same late nights as when I was very, very young. I still recall my mother coming into my room and saying, it's 2, 3 a.m. I don't care if you don't get an A. And I would turn around and say, Mom, I don't do it for you.
Yeah.
I do it for me.
Yeah.
And that's the same. That level of discipline and sacrifice, I still do.
Yeah.
My life has not changed
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. I think when you ask a lot of young children, especially from maybe my generation, when you were young, people say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And it was always a vet, a doctor, a sportsman person, or a lawyer. What made you actually decide that law was the right route for you?
I had to fight. My family did not want me to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Because they say, how many lawyers there are in Spain? They make not even a decent salary. So when I went to the States, actually, they accepted me to study to become an air traffic controller. I hated it. I'm a person that I'm here, but I usually really work on things when I'm writing or when I'm drafting or when I know a lot about the matter. So when I'm looking at the screen, I'm usually thinking.
Yeah.
So I had to get out of that. I was lucky. I was not lucky, but after September 11, the U.S. really was against foreigners studying aviation.
Okay.
So I was studying aviation then.
Yeah.
So I used this as an excuse to get out of the. I would have been a very dangerous air traffic controller. I hated it.
Yeah.
I didn't care how much money they were making. What I had very clear that I wanted to follow my passion, and I wanted to have an international career. So
Okay.
out of the options, I thought maybe if I study law, I can work in an embassy. I was looking that I was gonna end up in Dubai. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But this was not bad. At the end of the day, I couldn't end up in a more international place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What brought you to Dubai?
looking for a job.
Okay.
But I didn't come with a dream job. I came with a small suitcase and a list of about 95 law firms.
Okay.
With partners with whom I could have some connection. Maybe because they spoke Spanish, because they studied in Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
because they were in arbitration, which was my field of expertise by academics. So I sent my first emails to them. I told them I'm going to be in Dubai for 2 weeks. It would be great to meet you over coffee. 90% didn't reply or 95% didn't reply. So I sent them 2 weeks later a follow-up. And it was in this follow-up when most people replied.
Yeah.
So I was lucky. I got a job immediately out of one of the interviews.
Okay.
So that's where I stayed for my first year in the UAE, and I gained a lot of experience, local experience on arbitration. And after my first year, I moved to a Swiss firm, but I didn't know how long I was, if I was going to stay, if I was not going to stay. I was looking in the US, I was looking in Spain, and I was looking here at the same time when I finished my master's.
Okay. Okay. If you weren't in law, what career do you think you would have gone down?
If
you didn't choose to be a lawyer, what do you think you would have done?
Today, I think I would love two things. I wouldn't change it, but either interior design.
Okay.
I love, this is my hobby, to change things in the house. And also I envy somehow doctors.
Okay.
Somehow. Why? Because they get into their job, and they step out and they leave their work in the office. Being a lawyer, you are a lawyer 24/7. And it's great. But sometimes, and usually when you plan something with your family, that's when everyone has problems.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a problem, but still, it gives me a lot of satisfaction to be able to help. I've come a long way to become the lawyer that I would like to have.
Yeah.
And that's not only about knowing about laws and practice. It's also about being for your clients when you need to be. Because when you have a problem, you need someone to support you, not only irrespective of the outcome.
Yeah.
But that support is very important in my.
Yeah. How do you think that working in Dubai has changed your views on how you practice law compared to other countries?
I think Dubai and the UAE is one thing: service.
Yeah.
Everyone, from people cleaning on the streets to people helping you in the airport, people cleaning the metro, smile. And that's something that other people coming from abroad, they don't understand. Yeah, especially when you come from Europe or you come from the West. I think they don't understand. So as a lawyer, you need to give service. You need to make things easy for clients. Beyond, okay, you need to deliver a document. Don't worry, we'll send you someone to collect the documents. Don't worry, you don't need to come. This thing is very different from other parts of the world. Oh, you need to find someone. Okay, we can help you find someone. So this is very different. You need to step up and give service. And I think this is not like this in other parts of the world.
Yeah, I think I agree completely. I think Dubai could almost have the slogan, people come to you, because when you're busy in your job and you've got to, I don't know, open a bank account, get a credit card, see a lawyer, whatever it is, people will come to you. I did my will maybe 6-9 months ago. And the guy's like, no, don't worry, I'll come to you. It's fine. I'll come to you. We'll sort it all out. You don't need to do anything. Notaries are now online and all these kind of things. It just makes Dubai really set up just for ease of everything.
Yeah, also because there are so many people, so many good practitioners and so many bad practitioners. So having someone that can refer you, I work with this translator, he works well. Whether you centralize for client or you can call him. But that has a great added value in a culture that you don't know. Because when someone comes and is new, they don't know how to read different nationalities.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's trustworthy or not. Yeah. And I think that's a big issue for newcomers to the UAE.
You talk about the kind of service side of things. How have your personal values influenced not just your career, but your own firm?
I work very hard to ensure that everything we do, obviously from me to everyone in the team, to communicate different things. Yeah, like care. You need to care. How do you communicate clients that you care for them? Yes, if you don't let them know that you're working on their file, probably they think that you forgot. You're still working, but I think that's something that they need to know, that you're working on their file. To anticipate, so everything that we do, care, anticipation, respect, service. How can I add value? I'm just responding to an email, but how can I anticipate? How can I add value? Yeah. So it's difficult to teach everyone, but once they are in the same mood and with the same goal, they get so much satisfaction because they see that it works. And when you get an email back from a client saying, "Thank you so much, Maria," that's it. Or whoever it is on the team, that's it. That's the best. Yeah. If they reply and say, "Okay, thank you, Maria, but what? You didn't anticipate enough. You didn't do your job as you had to." So we fight a lot to just have thank yous. Thank you emails.
Especially, I guess, given the industry is so competitive, you've got to anticipate, you've got to give your clients that bit more than anyone else would.
Exactly. You have everything. You have a big spectrum in the legal profession. You can go from very large American and English firms to tiny or very large also local firms. And then in the middle, you have us. You have usually boutique or medium-sized local firms. And when they are boutique, usually they are categorized by language. Yeah. I mean, we like to position ourselves as offering the quality of large firms with the personality and connection that you get in a small firm. So with fees that do not insult anyone's intelligence, because at the end of the day, you need to be reasonable, and fees need to adjust what you are going to do.
Yes,
that's also a common, I think, issue here in the UAE and in the legal industry overall. When you go to a lawyer and say, "Okay, 500,000. Oh, I don't know how long I'm going to do." So how can you quote if you don't know what you are going to do?
Yeah.
So common sense. Another value that we like applying, common sense. Because my experience that clients want to pay common sense fees.
Yeah.
But if you tell them 500,000, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something, in my opinion, because I like to understand things, and and to respect things that I am offered, I wouldn't feel in good hands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it goes back to value. You know, there's restaurants in the UK that there's a few that I've been reading about that don't put the prices on there, but they have the pay what you think the meal's worth.
Huh.
And that a lot of it is about value. It's about what do people actually feel that they're right to pay.
Mhm.
And that's something I think in the UAE that definitely could do with some help, because your prices on a lot of things just range wildly for exact the same service.
Yeah. No, and another thing is that you achieve certain results. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing. And sometimes, it's the same time, but you achieve a great result. You need to have common sense. So it's common sense.
Yeah.
So if there is no common sense,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. Can you walk us through your career journey of where you started all the way through to where you are now, and maybe some of the key elements that shaped your growth and your decisions?
how long do we have? No, I went. I did a lot of turning, and I'm telling you that I wanted to do a career on international law, but also at some point I thought, okay, I started in air traffic controller. Maybe I can manage an airport, or I can have a high position in an airport. I love airports because people coming, going. There are stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started with a traffic controller in the US. Then I swapped to political science because law is not a degree; it's a post degree.
Okay.
So I did political science. Then I had a problem; I couldn't play anymore after my first degree. So I started working for 1 year as an English student for speaking of other languages.
Okay.
Why? Because I was working while I was studying and playing two sports in university. I was studying in the language department.
Right.
So I was a tutor for Spanish students. So I was helping the language department. So all the teachers helped me because I had very good reviews to find a position in a public school. So I was teaching in 11th and 12th and 13th grade in a U.S. public school. Then I went to do a master's about the Spanish culture and history to Salamanca in Spain for one summer. They had a collaboration with the government of Georgia. I was teaching near Atlanta. So I went. When I was there one Sunday morning, I opened the newspaper and I saw one university in Spain that had a collaboration agreement with American University in Washington, D.C. So I said, this is great. I could do the degree in Spain and then do my master's degree in the U.S., pay in the Spanish university, not the U.S. university, and then I will be a lawyer in the U.S. So that's what I did. I called the school and said, yeah, we can still accept you. So I changed everything. I went back to Spain, but when I was studying, I went to France.
Okay.
So I would only go to Spain for the exams. Then I was also working in a big bank in Spain. My English was good for the Spanish standards, so I was doing meaningful work. And then when I finished, I went to the US, did my master's, then I did my New York bar, and then I was in Dubai already at the time. So that's...
And you landed in Dubai, you got a job very quickly. Where did your path go until you kind of started your own firm?
Oh, I was working for a local firm. Then I was with a Swiss firm for about 5 years, 6 years. Then I moved to a local firm. I was a partner in the local firm, the same as in the Swiss firm. And then I was 5, 6 years. And then is when I set up my own practice. I became a mom, and this changed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So surprising, because my first son was 8 months old at the time, and that's when I decided to set up my own firm.
Yeah.
So it was, but I could do things my way, which at that moment I had a desire to strike for this level of service that I thought I was lacking before. I couldn't reach, and I saw clients coming and leaving, and I wanted to stay in the life of my clients for longer time, but I couldn't do everything, or I couldn't control the people that were doing other things.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I wanted to deliver a greater level of service. And that's when I decided in 2021, I believe, February 2021. So after that,
Big
time has
decision
gone
time.
very fast. But I'm very happy with where we are. I think we've come a long way. It's 4 years almost, 3.5, and it's been difficult. There are so many things you need to do when you are starting that you don't. Now I look back and I say I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
I have no idea how I made it through the first year,
Yeah.
probably because I was looking for people, but I didn't have time to recruit, and then I had to do pretty much everything myself at the beginning. So
I remember when I moved out here 16 years ago, it was crazy because I had 3 kids, setting up the business. So we had our UK and European business, setting up the Middle East business, not knowing how to set up a license or doing anything. And 16 years ago, things were very different here.
Yes.
And I was doing the same, trying to find an office, trying to hire people, trying to get a license, trying to do all these things. And I remember going into one utility place to set up something, and I've got all this paperwork, this pile of paperwork like this. And the lady's gone through it. She goes, yes. Right, it's all good. You're ready to go. Where's your company stamp?
Oh, yes.
Coming from the UK, you're like, company stamp? Oh, yes, you need your company stamp. And I cannot do this next bit until you get me your company stamp. And I'm like, how do I get a company stamp? So I ended up having to scramble around, find one, go back in there, company stamp. And it was just, it's hard when you're juggling all of that, especially when you have children, to do all of those things and juggle, your family life as well.
Yes. But it's a great, when you have kids, it's great additional motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you get to the point in a career, I think having to look after others, at least for me, you know, and it's so much less things I have to think about.
Yeah.
Because they tell me what they want to
Absolutely.
do. So before I had to think, what do I do on the weekend?
Yeah.
Now it's done.
Do you think sometimes having children makes you a bit more of an empathetic leader, that you understand other people's problems a little bit more than you would do before you had children?
Definitely. I think that once you become a mom or you become a dad, your level of care changes.
Yeah.
Changes completely. How you approach matters, how you approach employees, how you talk to colleagues. It's completely different. I remember I used to think, I saw before when I was working in other firms, moms would leave at 5, 4:30, 5:30, and I was staying there until 10, 11.
Yeah.
I was thinking, these people don't work. So now I understand how you can work even better, because you go straight to the point. You don't have time to waste. So before I didn't understand, and I must recognize with certain regret that I was having these thoughts about my women colleagues, that I thought they were not working.
Yeah. Yeah, you just work differently. You fit your work around your family life as much as you fit your family around your work life.
And it's great because if you stop around 5 to be for a couple of hours with your kids, if you have very small kids, they go to bed 7. Once they fall asleep, this is my case, they fall asleep and I have, everything is quiet because the office is closed.
Yeah.
So actually those hours late at night are so much productive.
Yeah.
Same as early hours in the morning, 5, 6, 7, when the world is asleep, is when you can really work on long drafts, research, etc., which you cannot do during the day. And plus you have a little break.
Yeah.
And when you have a little break, when you go back to the work, to documents, you think better.
Yeah. You've reflected. You have a fresh approach to it. Completely different. You're really driven. You've had some massive successes in your life. How do you set your career goals, and how's that differentiated between being an employee setting your goals and now having your own business setting your goals?
Same thing. It's the same thing. I try to value how I feel about things, but even I rate my house, like how happy I am with my kitchen. Okay, what is the rating that I give to my kitchen? Okay, so how would my kitchen need to be to have 100?
Yeah.
So then I list, and then the next question is, what do I do?
Yeah.
To reach to the 100. The same thing in all the areas of my life. Even I can rate my relationship with employees, with colleagues, with business partners, so the same way that you rate your relationship with people you care. Okay, I'm not happy with how things are, or the same way, where is Rubert and Partners today? Okay, what needs to happen for me to be 100% happy with where we are? So I say, okay, what will need to happen? Okay, so what do I have to do? And then maybe in a month or whenever I feel I have to do this reflection, I do it again. So this works very well for me. Before, I must say, I wasn't doing it this way. This I learned later on in life, but this works very, very well for me.
How do you think your leadership styles evolved from your early career working with colleagues to now?
To now, now they are employees, but it doesn't matter, I guess, how you call them or hierarchically, where you are. I think that over time, you learn to put loads of limits. It doesn't mean that you are not nice to and with people, but you need limits when you are. And this is something that I haven't done because I feel I'm a woman. I'm not very tall. I am very hands-on. I like running shoes. You know what I'm saying? I'm very practical, so I like to be on the same level, and I am on the same level, but that sometimes is a problem. How you put limits is the biggest thing that I had to learn over the years.
Yeah, I think that I've been in a similar situation running a smaller company that's grown, and you get very strong personal bonds with people, and that's great because people will go the extra mile for you. But it's also really hard when something goes wrong and you have to have tougher conversations, and you've built that personal relationship. It's not an easy task to navigate.
Exactly. No, and also it's not only about that conversation. It's that people believe they have certain power just because, you treated them extremely nice, which I think is a no-no. So we all go through that. And once your company starts growing, it is true. I think it's easier to fall into that trap when the company is smaller. But later on, it's easier to escape it. And it's for the best of everyone. It's not a matter of, it's for everyone to know where the limits are. And limits are always good, even with your kids. What happens if you say no to your kid? Does it mean that you love him less? No. You put the limit because you want things to be better.
Absolutely.
For everyone. So it's difficult. It's one of the toughest things in parenting, and it's also one of the toughest things when you run a business.
Yeah. You talked earlier about your kitchen and rating it and then looking at the things you need to do. Do you do the same things when you're looking at significant business decisions and you're looking at risk? So you've got a decision that you've got to make in your business, but there's uncertainty or risk. Do you have that same kind of approach?
Yes, but when it's not about the risk, it's about pros and cons. When you have to make a decision and you don't know, what I use is that I put pros and cons. But it's funny, this exercise helps your mind. Helps your mind seeing pros, cons. But the ultimate decision is not made with my mind. There is a reaction. It's like there is I know. So I try to do these exercises for me to start processing. And then maybe you are driving or you are running or you are doing some exercise in the gym, and then you know it. You immediately know it, but you didn't know when you were listing it. And I would say that I do all these exercises, but the ultimate decisions this is to help the instinct. I think we have to give a lot of value to our
We
instincts.
call it our gut feeling. So gut feeling, and I think, I'm a great believer in my gut feeling on things. You walk into an interview, and I think normally in the first 5 minutes you have a good gut feeling whether that person will be right for the business or wrong for the business. And we do the same with client acquisition. When you go and meet clients and there's a bigger project, quite quickly what your appetite to do that business is. And then I do something very similar. Well, I look at kind of the most important 5 or 6 things, and I put a score against them. So I'll say risk up to 10 points, opportunity up to 15 points. This. Then I'll mark it, and they'll say, okay, great. Does that make sense to make that?
Mm-hmm.
Does the risk against the reward make sense? And do it like that. That's always worked very well.
As a lawyer, we always have risk,
Yeah.
because what we do is, but at the end of the day, you do it well. You cannot overcompromise what you do, as long as you justify what you are saying.
Yeah.
It's great. So as long as you are a good practitioner, you should be fine. I guess the risk is a big issue for bad practitioners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. Your previous leaders, people who have led you in the past, have they significantly influenced your style of leadership, good and bad?
I think there are people that have influenced what I wanted to do in life, especially arbitration. I literally, when I went to I went to Spain, then I went to the US to do my master's. When I got to the master's, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Mm.
Luckily, in the US, the first week, they allow you to take as many classes as you want and drop them if you don't want to follow that path. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to all the classes. So I went to 2 classes, and I guess the first or the second one was with one Argentinian gentleman who had been the director of the Chamber of Commerce in Paris. So he was an arbitrator, and I saw him and said, I want to be like him when I grow up. And immediately I knew, from all this confusion, to knowing, and up to today, I had no doubts.
Yep.
So that was a great impact. And then I guess later on, I also worked with colleagues that were very practical and also believed a lot in communication.
Yeah.
How you communicate things. I was always, from the very beginning, very aware of the power of your thoughts. Let's say when you write an email, depending on how you say, if you say I'm sorry, if you don't say I'm sorry, there is a lot behind it.
Yeah.
So I was always very aware of the writings. So when I came across and I was working with other colleagues which were also like this, but maybe senior than me, this went to a different level. And I started created content like there is no tomorrow. So we have our website has a news section that is very on top of updated issues in Dubai on all the areas of practice. And I also have a YouTube channel, which grew out of this necessity to communicate. I like to communicate things. I like for people to understand what I send to them. If I send an email and something is not understood, I take it personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So we also have in the office, if your 5-year-old cousin doesn't understand your email, you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
So over the years, topics, but also ways of doing things have been influenced by others. We learn from everyone.
Yeah.
Even what we don't want to be. So that we learn.
No, I agree. So you moved to Dubai back in 2010.
Yes, beginning 2010.
How was the learning curve from looking at US law to then UAE law, and how much has the UAE law changed, and how do you keep on top of everything?
Oh, now is very different. Back then you couldn't find anything in English in online. Yeah, and
no Google Translate.
No Google Translate, and in the law firms where I was working, everything was in Arabic. But I think the Spanish civil code helped me more.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, the UAE system is taken from Egypt. It's based on Egyptian codes, and Egypt's law is based on Napoleonic code, French. So Spain follows the Napoleonic system. So I was literally having the Spanish civil code next to me and say, if this article is here, it must be in the UAE. So everything took a long time at the beginning. Luckily, I started with contract law. Okay. At the end of the day, arbitration is contracts. Be it real estate, be it construction. In construction, even I had an edge there because UAE construction follows most projects follow FIDIC Red Book, so that's in English. So that was fine. I had all the books, and then little by little, when I could, but my first years I couldn't do many other things other than arbitration. I was doing a little bit of employment, which is very basic.
Yeah.
Now it's improved a little bit since 2021, but it's still very basic if you compare it to other countries. A little bit of tenancy disputes, so I was increasing. Yeah. Then later on, company setup. Yeah. So the setup usually is not heavily regulated, but then when you get with changes, what can a manager do, what cannot do, that's when it needs. But this I had help, so I did over the years, so little by little.
Yeah.
Now you have so many tools available.
Yeah.
So, and also there are official portals from UK, especially, also other portals. Gulf based, let's say, because it's important as well. Sometimes you get things for Saudi, etc., and you add a little bit to what our colleagues do in Saudi. We don't directly handle, but sometimes it's important to also know what is happening around. So nowadays there are portals for laws and cases.
So you talk about Saudi. What are some of the key challenges you face with international arbitration, cross borders?
I would say that once I came to the UAE, and once you are in the UAE, most of the barriers that could be there were no longer there. When you are in Europe, yes, you go to an arbitration conference, people will not take you seriously if you are 29 years old.
Yeah.
They will not. But they take you seriously if you were in the UAE back then. Yes, because here, and most people still ask you, and even before, they would ask me, how is it like to be a woman? Can you work being a woman? I'm like, when I go to these conferences in Europe, I really feel small.
Yeah.
Because I was there with my ponytail, my backpack. Okay, I don't use a backpack anymore, yeah? But I consider myself as efficient.
Yeah.
And here in the UAE, it's fine. People don't judge you. Because you have a book bag. Yeah, it may be more comfortable for you because you need to walk a lot. Yeah, but in Europe I felt those, and also here, even from my first job, I was a beginner, but I knew a lot about arbitration, international arbitration. So my first firm here, gave me a lot of credibility, and they were letting me manage the arbitration cases.
Okay.
So that was great. I don't know, and I don't know. It wouldn't be the same if I would have gotten that position in Europe.
Yeah.
As a 29-year.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. What do you think the biggest challenges you faced were when you set up your own business with an 8-month-old child? There's a lot of challenges when you're deciding, right, I'm going to leave this firm, I'm going to set up my own business. You have a vision. How do you make that vision happen? What were the challenges?
I had it. I was very clear when I left. As a mom, I had just finished my most difficult months, so that was a key reason for me. I said, if I have to work as if I am owner of a company, I will be. Yes. Yeah. Then I had another child, and it was the same thing. But at least I could do things my way because I wanted to make them my way. But it was. I wouldn't say it was difficult. I would say it was difficult to find proper people to help. Difficult to find an accounting firm, because you have to do accounting, you have to do things. Also, very difficult in terms of administration, compliance. The level of work that you have to do to have all your manuals all in place when you are just surviving to get your business running. That was the most difficult for me. But I remember all that period with a lot of pleasure. It's like when you enjoy, when you are an athlete, you understand this.
Yeah.
And if I compare football or soccer with tennis, the level of suffering in the tennis court is, how you play with your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to develop the possibility to enjoy what you are doing while it's difficult. While it's 2 a.m. and you are doing administrative work because you don't have anyone to do administrative work.
Yeah.
But you need to believe and you cannot impose that belief. It just has to come that you are doing it is because of something,
Yeah.
and that is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember those months with loads of pleasure, but very little sleep. And again, I look back. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, but I look back and I remember it with passion and a lot of discipline, and trying to take working as much as I had to over the week, but weekends with my son. I was enjoying, trying to enjoy. You need to enjoy.
The football and tennis analogy is really, really interesting because, it's almost like when you start your own business, it is like tennis because you're on that court by yourself. And your success or failure is what you do. When you're on a football pitch, you're part of a team. So you can have your defense might not play well, but you might score 5 goals.
That's now.
Yeah.
The football setup, because you have a team, and sometimes, one of them gets a red card.
Yeah.
So you still have to run more.
Yeah.
But it's the same feeling. Once you are put in difficult times, you need to know that this is gonna pass. It's just temporary. We just need to win this set, or we just need to bring another player in next game. We will have another player, so I will will not have to be running from right to left.
Yeah.
So you need to know that it's temporary, and it will pass.
Yeah.
And just drink water and vitamins to ensure that you are fine. So it's trying to sleep when you can and treat yourself very well.
Yeah. How did it feel winning your first client?
Well, that if you ask me that, I think of 2010.
Yeah.
When I became, at the end of 2010, I became a partner in a Swiss firm. And I remember when I got my first client, that very first month. So I still remember. Now it was, I set up my own firm, but I already had
relationships.
Relationships. So it was not starting from scratch. I even had some, because I was a partner, so I had arbitrations that moved with me.
Yeah.
So it's not like I stepped out with.
Yeah.
So it was about growing and doing things better, but it was not starting from scratch in terms of client.
Yeah.
Making. Yeah.
What's next for you and Rubert and Partners?
That's an interesting question. We're working on the same path. Now we are growing. I feel we are in a point of a key point. So we are making changes to accommodate a bigger team. So a bit of administration and setup and logistics.
Yeah.
And also we are seriously considering Saudi at the moment, because we believe that in the future UAE and Saudi will be key. So we are exploring and putting our little Lego pieces to welcome a bigger team and also accommodate other jurisdictions as well.
What advice would you give aspiring leaders?
Trust your instinct. Follow your heart. Think with your mind. Analyze, but follow your instinct. Don't care about how much will it take. Sacrifice if you're willing, if you love it. Don't care about how much they will pay you. Just give value. Even if you are an employee at the beginning, you are junior, give to more seniors and to clients, and everything will go back. If you concentrate on adding value. Don't concentrate on asking for raises. It will come to you.
Yeah.
If you deliver, it will come to you.
Do you think that generationally that's more challenging now than it used to be? Getting people to not worry about money, not worry about work, and just say, I'm going to give this absolutely everything, and the rewards will come.
I think it should be the same, but I think timings are different. Now the young generations now, they are in a culture of instant satisfaction. Yeah, instant satisfaction. And I think maybe because of this urge to have things instantly, this may run against them. So we need to cultivate patience. How you do that? If you are 25 and your parents have given you everything all the time, you may have a problem. Yes, but I think we need to cultivate also when we are in our culture, in our business, we need to cultivate goal achieving.
Yeah.
If you give everything or you give someone too much, and this is something that I used to think, I'm going to give someone too much, a little bit more of a market, so they are truly happy. Wrong. How do you motivate them? How do you motivate them?
Yeah. Yeah. I think especially here, because you're right, everything is instant. You know, it's 12 o'clock, you're hungry, food in 20 minutes. It's 3 o'clock, you're thirsty, you can go, I'll order a Coke, and someone will just deliver it, and everything is just there for you all the time. However, in law, and it's similar in our industry, it's a learned industry. You have to go through the processes and the steps to be able to do the job, to be able to earn the money. And what we try and do in Hallian is strip that back a little bit and say to people, look, this is the career path, this is the career journey. We detail it out, so on day one you know what you need to get to your goals, and we find that works quite well. Do you use a similar kind of methodology in your team?
In our team at the moment, I mean, we don't have a clear, and many people, when we interview them and say, do you have a career path? Okay, we are 3 years old. Yes, and we've had people come in, we have new members, so we are not in that level yet.
Yeah.
Yes, why? Because you concentrate on client service. But yes, we are working on all of our manuals, on coaching for the team members. I did for years back, I did coaching. So now we are involving also support to see also this question.
Yeah.
How would your day-to-day need to be? How would your check pay, of course, need to be for you to be 100% satisfied?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something that they need to be talking to someone, not to me, but also they could, but they need to know. And I need to know how I can make their experience with us to be 100, because you want them to be comfortable.
Yeah. You also get more opportunities in smaller, faster growing businesses.
Definitely.
Because you build that team around you and you trust them, and you say, actually, you haven't got the qualifications to do this job here, but you're showing the ability to do it. Hold my hand and I'll help you do it. And that's what you don't get in the larger organizations.
100%. The level of responsibility that you get, yes, is great. So if you want to grow, starting in a small firm, in a small boutique, usually is better. Of course, if you have other things in mind, like reputational wise, or always be able to say, I am an ex.
Yeah.
Yes, you made lots of coffees.
Yeah.
No, it depends. I always say that there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's different paths.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, look, we've come to the end of our show today. So I have one final question.
Okay.
How do you dare to lead?
I don't know. I was thinking about this question. I know you make it always. I don't know. It's difficult. It's very difficult. But I think I dare because I have a passion to do what I'm doing. But if you think sometimes about all the barriers that you encounter and all the work that you have to do to lead, yes, it's challenging.
Yeah,
it's challenging. But I dare to lead because this is my path.
Yeah,
this is my path. So I'll have to do what I have to do to continue leading.
Yeah, Yeah. Great. Well, I've really enjoyed today's episode. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Maria shared valuable insights on corporate structuring, mentorship, and the skills needed to excel in business and law. Thanks for listening, and stay connected by following us at LinkedIn at Hallian, or visit www.hallian.com to learn more. Thank you.